Hey everybody, this is James from South Texas RC and BRB Racing. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Well, today in front of you is a project that I was working on. Of course, what you see in front of you is what? A Traxxas HOSS and an E-Revo Black Edition 2.0? Well, you're right and you're wrong. The first one started off being a Traxxas Stampede 4x4. And the other one is actually just a Generation 1 E-Revo. So let me tell you exactly what I've done and why. I wanted to go with the clipless body, so therefore I did the mounts and the body on the E-Revo, and of course it has some other upgrades that I'll share with you. And then the HOSS, I got tired of the Stampede constantly ripping the body pins through all the time. You would flip over hard enough, there goes a body shell. The clips would just be completely ripped through the plastic in the bed. So I went with the clipless body. Now to do this, I don't recommend running out and grabbing yourself a Traxxas Stampede 4x4 just to convert it into a HOSS. It's not cost-wise smart to do it. It is, though, if you already have a Traxxas Stampede 4x4 and you want to do the conversion into the HOSS, then it's well worth it. So I'm not saying go get a Stampede and turn it into a HOSS. If you don't have a Stampede, just buy a HOSS. So I'm going to start off with how I did this and the part numbers. And two, there's a couple of things that I did not make 100%, I guess you could say, HOSS-A-PEDE. This is more like a mix in a way. So we're going to call this, I don't know, what do y'all want to call it? A HOSS-A-PEDE. There we go. We have a HOSS-A-PEDE. So we have an ARMA part number in there, and I'm going to show you exactly where it's at. It was only solely used as a spacer because I did not use the battery tray system that they have, and I did not use their wheelie bar in the back. I left the original Stampede wheelie bar system there, but there's a hack to show you how to make that work also. And I'll show you all exactly where this one ARMA part is located. And it is going to be an ARMA wheel axle, and it's going to be ARA 310905, and it's going to be this part right here, and it's going to run you $8.99. Next part that you're going to need, well, not need, but if you want it to look better with the bigger wheels on it, you're going to want to go with the Sledgehammer tires. $38 a set, part number 6792. You're going to need two of those. Next up for grabs, and none of this is really going to be in proper order, but the shock kits that I use, you will need additional thing of spacers because I use two of the large spacers right here, front and rear. $37.69, those are $4. And the reason why I changed the shocks is the shocks that this came with were just really not good. It was a used truck when I bought it, and they were some off-brand aluminum shock and they were leaking everywhere. So we've got the extra long, this is going to be your rear. $37.62A, $18. And then on the front, $37.60A. $18. Next part up for grabs, it's going to be, of course, the HOSS body. 9011R, $65. I went ahead and did a sway bar kit to give it more stability. And of course, mind you, this is a Stampede. I don't know if it shows HOSS on here or not. I might have cut it off. I think it might be the same. But of course, this is Stampede part number. And that's going to be your $68.98 for $25. Next up for grabs, I went ahead and did the LED light kit for the bumpers. Not necessarily do you have to do the LED kit. You can use stock bumpers. That's the $90.95. Those are $49. Let's see, next up for grabs, this is the battery hack that I use. This is off of a two-wheel drive slash And what I did is the end, I'll show you, I cut off the end, I drilled another hole here and rounded this off to get the proper length to where I could make it mounted. And then this piece here, I screwed in the bottom of the chassis. That's gonna be $6, 5827X. The center shaft will change. That's gonna be a 6855, those are $10. The chassis is longer. $20 for that. 9022 is its part number. And the shock towers front, 6739, that's $6. And of course you're going to have the rear for the clipless body, and that's going to be the 6738, and that is $6. Now, of course, like I said, the motor is another thing. I left the shorter version of the 540 motor in there, but you can do an upgrade on the electronic speed control on the motor. You can't just do, it looks like an upgrade for just motor only without the speed control, because the motor bullets for the connectors are larger. And then, of course, the 9036 is going to be the rear bumper if you want to just do a regular for $7. And a 9035 for $7 for the front bumper. And then of course their wheelie bar is a part number 9078 for $12. And then that's the other topic to go over too, the center diff versus slipper clutch. If you want the center diff, it's part number 6780 for $69.95, or you can just use the slipper clutch and it works perfectly fine. So let me go ahead and get you down to the truck and we'll show you exactly what we got going on in there. Right, here we go. Excuse the dirt, guys. This is not a shelf queen, so it's going to be a little dirty. HOSS body. Now, the parts that were changed, like I said, we went over, is the chassis is longer. The receiver box. The receiver box cover will come off of the Stampede. Top, I guess you want to call that section A, and then there's section B, but section B is already molded part of the chassis, so the top part just comes right on here, transfers over from the other truck. Now, wheels, it's not mandatory. You don't need the sledgehammer tires. You can still use your stock tires. The only thing that's going to be mandatory to use to turn this into a HOSS is going to be your shock tower front and rear, the chassis, battery tray hold down, and the body shell. On the bumpers, you can leave the original Stampedes on there, but it will push against the body and crinkle the front up just a little bit, and the same for the rear of the truck. It will crinkle against the body just a little bit in the back, but I decided to go with these. Now, the hack I was talking about for this wheelie bar setup, as you see, this one here is adjustable, and I preferred to go with the adjustable wheelie bar instead of just the straight mounted one that's there. But the hack to make this work, you look down here, this piece was originally hooked to the wheelie bar. I heated these up, used some pliers to bring them in. Now, don't make them blazing to where you're melting it, but just heat them up gradually, start to squeeze them together, and those will come through and mount onto the bumper there. If you look there, you'll see the original holes where they were at. And then even with this sitting underneath was secure, but I went ahead and put a couple of zip ties around the corners just to go ahead and give it an extra brace. And I tell you, it's on there good and stout. Then on the sway bar kit, I did put this on here. Of course, like I said, it is optional. You don't really need it, but I wanted better stability. And then in the front, same thing. And these are pretty well straightforward on this kit. I'll show you the E-Revo is a little bit different of setting up their sway bar link. Just hook it here, hook it there, bring it around, and you're done. And the other mandatory part is going to be the center shaft, of course. So there you have it, guys. That's how we created the HOSS-A-PEDE. And like I said, I would have left it as a Stampede, but I feel that I have better handling with the longer chassis. With the sway bars, of course, like I said, it's optional, but the main reason why I started this project is because on the Stampedes, where those holes are at in the back, where the clips go, or I should say body pins, or what do you want to call it, they would constantly rip out on a hard impact. So that alleviated my problem with that one. Next up for grabs is going to be this one, and then I'll go over the parts list. So this is a Generation 1, but it is a Generation 2 body shell. Now, of course, this isn't all 100% complete Gen 2, but it's pretty close with the actual upgrades for it. Same thing on this. Go ahead and get the body off. Now, the sway bar links on this, let me explain how this is set up. Now, on the front, it's pretty well straightforward of how these are set up. You're gonna put the longer screws here, comes over. Like I said, it's straightforward in the instructions how to set these up. But in the rear is a little more difficult because you do have some tear down to do, and the reason why is because in these rocker arms, you have to use the template that they have, hold it to your screws, and then you have to physically drill a hole up underneath for the linkage to go into. Make sure you use the right template for the right progressive arm, that way you get it in the right spot. And of course, it mounts there below. I've done the axles, front and rear. Got a little bit of aluminum upgrades here. Of course, it's covered, you can't see it, but it has the center shaft, this metal center shaft that's been put on it. One high torque servo, that way I don't have the problem with the binding going on. Just one is sufficient. Now, of course, the differences on this truck too is I've seen that the motor and the transmission setup here is tucked a little bit differently because it's got, I guess, the center diff portion is here, and the transmission, they say, is a little more simplified and it's shorter. I guess the reason why it's shorter, hence it's got the center diff system inside of it. So far on, I've seen people talk about the chassis. The only differences I've heard about the chassis is the battery tray holes are a little bit larger, and a guy had pointed out, like down over in here, there was a different hole that was set up. Other than that, I put the brace bar on it, and this has just been pieces here and there, but the only thing mandatory to set this up to the 2.0 look is going to be your front mount. Your old studs just unscrew, pops right in. Same thing in the rear, old studs come out, pops right in, put the body on, and you're done. Let me go over those part numbers that you're gonna need. And also on the wheels, I did go with larger wheels. These are actually HPI claw tires. Once again, not mandatory, but gives it a better look, makes it look 100% legit. All right, and now for the part numbers. So your clipless body post. Not bad at all. Part number 8614, only $5. What gets you though is going to be, like I said, mandatory wise is just the body. $85. Part number 8611. And then the other parts that I have in it, there's the axles, guys, $80 for those. That's going to be part number 5451R. And then we've got the center shaft, $45 right there, part number 5650R. And that brace that I've got on the back, the chrome brace, $10. Was that 5632? Now, let me go over here and show y'all another thing real fast. On the Revo 2.0, another thing that was different is they actually put like a shock guard, a plastic guard over here. And then this here is also made of plastic. So there is a kit and a part number for this. I don't know if I wrote it down or not, but this brace bar right here is plastic, and don't really need the cover up here. So like I said, in the future, if anything does go awry transmission wise, not saying it is because I haven't experimented with it yet, but it seems to be that the new transmission and center diff should bolt straight up to this and have no issues on it, because there's not much changes on this and the 2.0. Now, of course, on the 2.0, the arms are a little bit different. I saw a guy showing the arms side by side that appear to be the same length, but the design holes are a little bit different. The actual hubs on the inside are a little bit different. The way they're set up, they're a little bit larger, and it does have a meatier steel axle and the differentials are different in this also. On the 2.0, they're going to be a little bit thicker, and I think the housing is going to be different for the diffs. But what I forgot to show you all, the ARMA hack. So the only reason why we have an ARMA part number in here is when I chose to do this battery tray like this. I said this here I put on, put the screws through it, drilled the holes, bolted it down, put this on here, shaved the end off, drilled a hole. But this piece to thread inside is not long enough to reach all the way down. So if you look, the Traxxas part is threaded into the ARMA part right there, and then it screws in through the bottom. So that's the only reason why I have an ARMA part, and I was scrambling around through my box going, what can I use to bring this up bigger? And it was like, voila. So that's the only armorization we shall say is in this truck, is just that piece right there. So there you have it, guys. That's what I did with both of the trucks. And if you've got, here's a bit of advice. If you've got an E-Revo Gen 1 and it still has the plastic axles, it still has the stock arms on it, it's got a lot of nicks and abrasions, a lot of stuff that's just getting ready to go out and is just completely thrashed and trashed, gone, then I would say go ahead and get rid of it and do the 2.0, because once again, cost efficient wise, this truck has been maintained over the years. So it has RPM arms front and back, has an RPM bumper in the back, has the HPI claw tires, have the axles and center shafts and everything put in it, the fans, of course, the heat sink. But like I said, guys, this is a well-maintained truck over the years, and if I was starting from ground zero, even was saying a pristine truck that has never been touched or upgraded, it just really wouldn't be advisable to do the upgrade to the 2.0 like I've done on this one. And the same thing too, like I said, on the Stampede 4x4, if you've already got one and you want to make a change to it and you're tired of the clips constantly ripping through the body and you want a little bit more stability, then go this direction. But if you don't already have a Stampede 4x4, like I said, it's not cost efficient wise to go and just go get one and then upgrade it to a HOSS. So I hope this video was informative. If you all like what you see, please like, please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, this is James with South Texas RC and BRB Racing, and I am out.